Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today is part 3 of building the weapons I built on Forged in Fire. In the last episode, I decided to try to make Mosaic Damascus to build our Fairbairn Sykes World War II combat dagger out of. Never made Mosaic Damascus before, and I've already learned a couple of rather important things about what not to do when trying to make Mosaic Damascus. I've got a billet that is quite possibly a giant waste of time and money. This is our 80 CRB2 and 15N20 steels Damascus, and we have 4 separate pieces that I attempted to forge weld together in order to make a pattern that is on the cross section of it so that we can then manipulate it from there. There's a distinct cross here that shows the 4 individual pieces, and if that had welded like it should have, you wouldn't be able to see that. So what to do with this billet? Well, I really wanted to make Damascus out of 80 CRB2 and 15N20 and make a blade out of it. That's what I set out to do. And then along the way I decided to make Mosaic Damascus, which is sort of an added challenge. But at this point, I feel like there's 2 different options. One, I can separate these 4 pieces of steel along the intended weld lines, which would be a bit of a chore, and then salvage those pieces of steel and forge them together potentially and make a good blade. Or I can figure out if it did weld in here somewhere. Let me show you what the original plan was for this billet, and before I do anything drastic with this, I will polish this up a little bit and etch it just to show you what the pattern looks like, so I want to see it a little better too. So to reveal that pattern on the end grain, if you will, it's necessary to open that up, and that is accomplished by making cuts exactly how and where I am, or at least very close to where I am making these marks with the soapstone. And then you literally unfold it like an accordion. Those faces that are currently inside the steel will be opened up, and you'll be able to see the pattern repeating itself down the steel. What I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to lay this out a little more evenly, and I'm gonna cut it in whatever cut is closest to the middle, and then open that up and see what it looks like in the middle of the billet. If it's not welded, then at least I have some pieces of steel that are, I don't know, 2.5, 3 inches long, and maybe we can salvage them and work with it from there. Okay guys, I have some encouraging news. I went and ground this down to 220 grit so it'll etch well enough to see the pattern, and I started with a 60 grit belt just to kind of face it off a little better, and I ended up grinding off probably 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch, and I got down to where I can see a really super faint line, but I think maybe we got lucky on this. There you go. So that's a simple Mosaic Damascus pattern, and as you can see, I did not get everything lined up quite perfectly, but it's pretty cool. Alright guys, I got some slots cut in there, and really not the most precise. Cutoff saw is probably not the best way to do that. You can see right here there's a crack, but it's not a crack, it's where the weld failed. Yeah, so that's a bummer. We'll just have to see if we can get the rest of this unfolded without breaking anything else. So at this point, I'm just hoping that we have a good weld through enough length of the billet to get enough to make a blade. That's kind of my only expectation at this point. We've got the heat cranked up a little more, a little closer to welding temperature actually, so that the steel is very plastic, so that we're not creating an extra stress riser at that in that spot right there. So I'm just going slow and making sure I'm working it nice and hot. Yeah, this is not going well. Anytime I start putting some pressure on it to open it up, that weld just peels apart. That shouldn't be happening. I don't know, I guess, I mean, this piece is coming off too, and I guess we'll try the next one and see if there's anywhere that the weld actually stuck, but right now it's not looking so promising. We have a piece of steel that didn't fall apart! Well, kind of. It's trying to fall apart right here. So, it's only about this long of what actually didn't fall apart or doesn't look like it's trying to fall apart. Okay, well that was interesting and a good learning experience. What we have is a piece of steel about this long. What is that, 4 or 5 inches? Could I get a dagger out of this? Yeah, there's plenty of steel there to make a Fairbairn Sykes combat dagger for sure, but based on how this billet kind of went, I really wouldn't want to trust these other welds in here to a knife at all. So normally I would just throw this away and start over, but since this is Forged in Fire rebuilds, we have to do something else. And that something else is to cut the good section of this steel in half and get 2 pieces, and then we are going to make a San Mai blade with this solid piece of 1084 steel. So that gives you an idea of the kind of pattern we were going for, and it's pretty cool. It's going to look different when it's forged out on the San Mai. Okay, I have the steel cleaned off in the grinder, the San Mai billet stacked, and I just have to tack weld it together and put a little handle on it, and we can forge one. This should be easy, right? Alright guys, we have a solid piece of San Mai or laminate steel to make our dagger out of, and I can't wait to grind into this and see what it looks like. This is going to be fun. A lot of the things I've done so far on this project have been the first time for me, so it's definitely been a learning experience, and hopefully you guys learned some stuff along the way as well. I appreciate you coming along on this little project. Thanks for supporting the channel as well. I appreciate you subscribing and hitting the notifications button. As always, thanks for watching and have a great day.